What's going to rise? Webster Style, the man, the voice, the fragrance. Compared to when you've seen me the past, it's getting a little bit longer, but we're back talking to some wonderful creators. In this case, we're here with RJ Atkinson to talk about her book, The Seventh. Sorry, I want to say the Seventh Adventure, but it's the Seventh Kingdom. I don't want to get it. I don't want to get it screwed up. Robbie, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How about you?
Doing good. I'm doing good. As I was telling Robbie before, I just woken up from a nap, very impromptu nap. But you know, your body says you need to shut down. You need to shut down. So that's what happened. But I'm rested. I'm bright eyed and bushy tailed, as they say, and I'm ready to talk about this fantastic manga you created, the Seventh Kingdom. Now, well, tell us about the Seventh Kingdom first of all, and I have loads of other questions to ask you about that.
Yes, so we've got an epic fantasy sci-fi adventure with a young woman who essentially is on a journey of revenge against the Seventh Kingdom because they destroy her village. And essentially, along the journey, she collides with dark revelations about the truth, about things that were kept from her as to why they were attacked. And then she also assembles a team, and that provides a bit of insight for her as well. So, yes, in short, that's what it is.
So, where did you find the inspiration for the story?
Mm, I think the best and most truthful answer is a mixture of both imagination and personal experience.
Okay.
And I was actually just talking to someone the other day, an influencer that we're going to be collaborating with in the future. And this influencer was telling me about how they had a relative who just passed away and how with the passing of that relative, all of these things come to light. And for both of us, it was a father. Because my dad passed in 2021 and theirs passed last year. And just the things that come up after that experience, the things you learn, the emotions you deal with, and realities that you grapple with. And some of that informed the creation of the series. And then some of it was quite literally just imagination. When you have a snapshot of an instant, how do you write a story around that? How does that story pan out? How does it end? Um, and so this was really an endeavor to really stretch the limits of my imagination. If I were to not have the confines or the financial confines of a camera and a camera crew, which is what I'm used to because I'm used to directing and writing film.
Okay.
So yes,
Okay. Now, is this you direct and write films? Is this your first foray into manga?
yes, it is.
Okay. And what say prompted you to do manga compared to maybe I would say traditional American Western style comic books or maybe either other descriptive artistic mediums to express your story?
Hmm. Well, the ultimate goal is to get the series animated. So for me, in my mind, in
Okay.
my head, in terms of where this is, I already see it as an animation. It was written to be an animation, but I decided to go with manga in particular because a lot of anime, because I knew the style that I wanted visually, and I knew that this was not something I just wanted to be relegated to American audiences.
Right.
I wanted to be able to target the international audience, but I especially wanted to be able to tap into the Japanese market because manga is like the market value for manga, the profit margin for manga is like set to exponentially increase. We're talking a medium that in the 80s when anime was introduced, no one thought that anyone would like it. Do you understand? And it's
Yes.
since then taken off so greatly that it's become like a staple of like Japanese culture. Ask anyone what they know about Japanese culture. If they don't know anything else, they know anime and manga, right?
Right. Right.
Uh, and I think my writing style lends itself to appeal to an international audience, anyways, just from what I've seen with the films and the scripts that I've written. Um, the most recent film that I shot, a lot of the audience that could really appreciate it was international anyways. And so I think with a flair for something a little bit outside of standard American writing practices, and then a desire to have a style that would appeal to an international audience, I think also knowing I wanted to be animated, building a fan base off of a graphic novel, and in a market that you know is going to rise more than American comics, to me, that was the most logical step.
Well, I think even in the US, manga outsells traditional comic books, if I remember statistics right. But it sounds like
Right.
all the way around.
Right, right.
So with that, the manga, are there any manga? No, I'm gonna ask the question next. But with your directing and writing background, did that, and I know script writing in some regard, but did that bring a different perspective to when you sat down to create the Seventh Kingdom?
Hmm. I would say, I would say in a way it's almost the other way around. And what do I mean by that? Like almost everything that I, well, not really, mostly everything I use for script writing and filmmaking, I also use for manga. But
Mhm.
there's things that you can write a certain type of silence or kind of space in your film, a moment where silence really processes. And people, based on the visual, based on the lineup of the clips and the shots, people understand what's happening, even if no words are being said. Whereas with manga, I find myself very aware, especially the stage we're in. I find myself very aware of like if I write something in the script and that is actually brought into panels, you realize like, oh wait, some of this translates, but the thought process is not entirely clear. So you have to clarify even more almost. And in a way, with script writing for film, you can let that silence ride because it works. In a way, intuitively, when people read it, they understand that. So that's an interesting thing I've encountered recently. But
Mhm.
I would definitely say mostly everything I do in filmmaking leans over because if you want to direct actors, then you have to know how to relay emotion. And when you can
Right.
write with detail and emotion and create an atmosphere, as the lead illustrator tells me, because I work very closely with Walla, when you can create atmosphere, you give them a lot to pull from. So there's not much guesswork for them.
Okay. Now, are there, I guess, not so much that influenced you per se in a visual style, but there any anime and manga that really say that built your love of the medium?
Yes, and most of the times when people ask me this, I feel like my immediate answer would be Sailor Moon simply because I grew up with it.
Right.
Grew up during the era of Cartoon Network when Toonami was popular, and so you had Sailor Moon, and I remember Blockbuster was a thing. And on Friday nights, Dad and I would go to Blockbuster, and he'd get like one VHS tape, to watch for the family, and then I'd get to choose one just for myself. And I remember going to the anime area and picking up a Sailor Moon VHS, and the tape itself was pink. um, and so I think that was probably the series that got my attention because I instantly could tell that the illustration style was different, the
Mhm.
storytelling and the substance to it. Even as a child, if you couldn't articulate this, you could tell, you could feel the difference. And I liked it, but of course during that time it was kind of considered like uncool or like really nerdy to like that foreign stuff, as they call
Yes.
it. So yeah.
It's interesting you say that because I'm born in the 70s, child of the 80s. So my first series that I really just fell in love with anime and didn't know was anime was Robotech, or I guess in this case with Masopata, uh Geoclimagenesis, and I forget in Macross, yeah. So when all those got spliced together, I knew it was different, but I didn't know what anime was then. But much like it was Sailor Moon, you can tell it was something different. It was different than anything else you were watching. As I got older, I realized, oh, that's what it is. Oh, and then we did the like really nerdy thing in the 90s. Like we go to, in this case, like a Suncoast, we get tapes, we tape trade. We had an anime club in my high school and we still got looked like we were crazy. But I totally get that it wasn't exactly a cool thing, but when you find something you love, you just kind of dive headfirst into it.
Right, right.
So with the Seventh Kingdom, is this a sort of a one-off graphic novel? Is this a series? How is this? How many volumes are there if there are more than one?
So this is an ongoing series,
Okay.
and I have set the ambitious goal of it's going to be, so technically speaking, I'm releasing each book that gets released is considered a chapter. Like that itself is a chapter. Um, Technically speaking, that'd be called a volume, but I'm doing it that way so that when we sell a box set, when I have multiple chapters in a box set, then you can call it a volume. But it's technicalities. Anyways, this is meant to be at least 50. Right now,
Oh,
I'm
wow. Okay.
Yes, I've written up to 20 so far. Well, I've written up to 19. I'm getting started on 20, and we've done the beta reads for up to like 18,
Okay.
or to do the beta read for 18. But I mean, it's coming along, and I don't really see it going beyond that. I think like going beyond that in the sense of like that's season one. I do have season 2 and season 3 that I'd like to do, but I anticipate that things will be so drastically different by the time we get to that
Right.
there will be more opportunities to expand that. My goal is by like season 2 and 3 to be able to really be a lot closer to getting it animated, because the fan base would have been built for it. So
Right.
this is a story. I want this to be like a full meal. I don't want to give people like a 12 book or like a 10 book thing and like that's it. Most of the competitors tend to be, I mean, if you want to call them competitors, quote unquote, they're on a different level, but most of the competitors, they tend to be almost into like 100 chapters. So
Right.
it's long, but that's actually short in comparison.
Okay. So your illustrators, what sort of your illustrator, there are individuals or individual you worked with before? Did you have to go out and try to find your elevator illustrators to meet the sort of what was the visual style you wanted in your head? How did that work?
Hmm. So I found the illustration team through Instagram. That is the handiwork of my then assistant, who was also a good friend of mine, who is now my beta reader. And he had found the lead illustrator back before they started their company. And we got in touch years ago, and we eventually just made it happen. I told them, just give me some time. They said, bet. And so we eventually arrived at this point here. And I really reached out to them because it was something we were doing with my business at the time in terms of building a certain kind of relationship with local artists or
Hmm.
international artists. But I also wanted to work with Walla in particular because I saw Walla's style and I liked Walla's style. It was different. And yet you could still see like that it was anime based or manga based. And
Hmm.
back when we back when we first met, digitally they were aiming towards like webtoons, this, that, and the other. And then when we finally got around to this, they said, oh, I don't do webtoons anymore, so if we do this, it'd probably have to be a manga, which is perfect because that then challenged me to write something that is long form enough for the audience to be able to binge, so to speak, like a manga. So
Okay. Now you say you're looking to, I won't say transition, but to also adapt this into anime. Has that process already started, or is that still something that's down the pipe?
that's something that's down the pipe, but I'm
Okay.
just playing it like it's already done, that's how you have to
Yep.
go.
Yep. Yep. True. 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 Very true. Okay. Cool. Now, RJ, any, well, anything else, but where can everybody find, and not just find, but find, learn about, and also purchase, or I guess we use pre-orders or up, or is no, pre-order windows closed, but at least purchased the Seven Kingdom.
Yes. So technically speaking, if people go to www.rpxmediaproduction.com/the number seven th, the seventh kingdom, they will be taken to the official webpage for the series. And from there, you can access the bookstore. And on
Okay.
the bookstore, you can see ways to pre-order the series on Amazon, on Apple
Okay.
Books, on Rakuten Kobo, a number. Even look into checking it out from libraries as well. So it's
Awesome. Okay. Well, you guys should have seen that down below. If not, it's in the show notes also. Um, where can they find? Well, where can they find you on social media?
yes. Well, if TikTok is still around,
Right.
um, at the number seven th at the seventh kingdom for TikTok, and for Instagram, it's the underscore seventh underscore kingdom. And type that into Facebook and Twitter or X. You'll also find us there. So
All right, thank you. All those are right there. Flash. If you missed them, rewind a little bit, watch it again. But also, all the links have been in the show notes. Robbie, thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. You guys, make sure you check out the Seventh Kingdom. It looks absolutely phenomenal. As just a anime manga fan myself, I definitely will be checking it out. Make sure you go to all the links, like, subscribe, follow, and buy. Robbie, thank you again for your time. You guys, Webster Style, the man of voice for fragrance. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Swag out them balls. Look. Is that bow tie paisley? Ah, you're a killer. Ooh, I mean, this is me right here. Baby, you see this? Nah, this is... Hold on. I mean, I can change. I thought... Never mind, forget it.